Hello, this is Tony, the M14 video guy. I know what you're thinking, it's not an M14 in front of me. Well, some people don't know this, but I'm actually a Savage fan as well. I was handed down a Savage by my stepdad a long time ago, sitting right here. This guy right here started out as a Savage 110 flat back long action chambered in 270, and I decided it wasn't shooting very well, so I spent a long time basically messing with it, tweaking it, and learning how to work on Savages. So that's basically how I kind of taught myself how to work on these things. So anyway, what I have here in front of me is a Savage 12 FV that I bought on Black Friday last year, and I really only bought it for the action, and I want to make this something a little different. And I know there's a ton of videos out there on how to change barrels on a Savage, but I didn't do them, so I figured I'd do one on my own, and that'll be my first Savage video, and I'll do it in the Tony Ben fashion. Okay. So when I first rebuilt that Savage back there, one of the things, the problems that I really didn't like that I ran into was how to hold on to the receiver. And I really didn't like the solutions that people had as far as being able to clamp around the receiver. You had to clamp around the receiver, you had to clamp the barrel down, and you have to use a barrel nut and all that stuff like that. And then I saw that PTG had this really nice receiver wrench, and so I asked them to send me a sample so I could try it out and play with it and everything like that. And that was like about a year and a half ago, and I'm finally, life gets in the way, and I'm finally getting around to doing the video on it. I've used it, and I used it on that rifle and everything. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how easy it is to break the torque on a factory Savage barrel nut. I'm also going to show you some other things that a lot of people don't cover. Okay, so first off, bear with me here. I'm going to check the headspace, the factory headspace setting on this Savage. Okay, again, this is a Savage 12 FV. Comes with a big oversized bolt knob. It's got this 26 or 28 inch 308 varmint barrel. Anyway, I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to drop in this is a Pacific Tooling gauge, Go gauge, and the bolt closes right on it. Okay, so we're going to pull this out. Now behind me on the wall, you're going to see, you may see it, maybe in the field of view, maybe not. You're going to see a 10-piece headspace gauge set. I have headspace gauges that go all the way to 1.639. So this is a 1.631. So this is 1/1000th over minimum. Okay, so this bolt closes a little snug on the 1.631. So it's 1/1000th over minimum. This is the factory headspace setting. Okay. So I'll put that aside here, and we'll see how the 1.632 fits, and I'll see right there it stops, and I can probably force it closed, but that's really not the goal here. So we're just going to say that this chamber headspace is 1.631 inches, which is 1/1000th over minimum headspace for a brand new 308 chamber. We're going to go ahead and pull this headspace gauge out. What I really like about the Pacific Tooling gauge action wrench is you don't have to take your scope mount off, especially if your scope mount doesn't go forward of the barrel nut, because that still allows you to use your action wrench and everything like that. You don't have to take it off. On my other Savage back there, I have an Evolution Gunworks scope rail, and it overhangs, so I had to shave the front end off, so that actually I shaved it off for the scope because I had a 50mm bell and needed to move it back. But anyway, when I shaved it off, it means I don't have to remove the top rail in order to get the barrel nut off. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the action out of the stock. Set these to the side here. So what we're going to do, we're going to change this factory barrel out for a Criterion 22-inch featherweight barrel. Okay, I've already used this on that other Savage back there for hunting, and it was a really accurate barrel. I remember the first 2 shots that I sent down range at 200 yards, literally went in the same hole with hunting with the 165 grain hunting load that I made. So I know this barrel really performs. Now for tools, I bought this wrench so long ago, I want to say it's a Wheeler barrel nut wrench. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Anyway, it's got some square splines or some rounded splines for different kinds of barrel nuts. I've also got a 24-inch breaker bar with a 7/8 12-point socket and a half-inch drive ratchet. Okay. Also, PTG sent me this bolt face. I'm not going to use it today, but I am going to use it to illustrate some other things that you may run into if you build a rifle with with any other parts. It's not just PTG. It's you may run into some problems using aftermarket parts, right? And I just want to show you some of the things that you may run into. First thing you want to do is take your bolt assembly out, make sure it's on fire, and open this all the way up. Pull the trigger, put your latch down, pull that bolt out. Okay. So now from here, the beauty of this, beauty of having this wrench here is what it does is this same wrench works for Savages and for Remington 700s. So this wrench, you have to move the lever out of the way. So to get the wrench in, you have to pull the trigger, move the lever out of the way so it'll slide in. Okay. So what you're doing is you're using the bolt lug rail in the receiver, and you're using that to break the torque. Okay, so you're going to slide that in there. Now again, the beauty of being able to break the torque on one of these things here with this particular setup is you don't really need barrel vise, okay, to get this thing off. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and slide this on. So to break the torque, all you need to do is put this on your bench just like that. You got your nice breaker bar here with your 7/8 socket, and again, this is a factory barrel nut. So we're just going to wrench on this, and we just broke the torque. Okay. You could also you could use a vise, you could use a barrel vise, but what you can also do is you can throw this in my bench vise over here. I can literally throw it vertical. You could throw this thing in the vise just like that, throw it vertical, get your breaker bar, and you can break the torque that way as well. It's just really easy with this wrench and with this action wrench and with this barrel nut wrench. Alright, so with the torque broken, literally we just unscrew the receiver. And that's that. What I want to show you on the bolt face here, I want to show you with the 1.631, this is a 1.631 Headspace gauge, okay? We're going to drop this in here. We're going to drop this in the chamber. We're going to measure this distance right here. Make sure our bolt's all the way in, we're going to make sure our Headspace gauge is all the way in. Measure our protrusion, 0.127. 0.127 inches. Okay. Now we're going to measure our depth, which is basically 0.111. Okay. So 0.127 minus 0.111 equals, we have about a 16 thousandths gap. Okay, so that means that there is a 16 thousandths gap between the bolt face here and the breech face here. Okay, but now let's go ahead and measure this Pacific Tooling gauge bolt head. Okay, so the depth on this bolt head happens to be 0.130. 0.130 inches. That means that the depth of this bolt face is greater than how much that gauge actually sticks out. That means there is no gap. That means that if I use this bolt face and if I screw this barrel in until it stops on a Headspace gauge, it's actually stopping on the bolt face. Okay, and there's actually, so what did it say, 130 and a 127, there's about a 3 thousandths gap. So at a minimum, you would probably actually have to use, this thing would have to be chambered at about a 1.635. Okay, so this particular gauge is 1.635 inches. So I'm going to stick this gauge in here, 1.635, and you're going to see it's going to stick out farther. So 0.130 inches with a 1.635. So basically 1.635 is, depending on who you ask, is right at SAMI maximum. So 0.130, and then if I do the depth of this, let me recheck the bolt face depth, 0.130. So basically 0.130, if I screw this, if I use this bolt head on this barrel and screw it in until it stops, it's not actually going to bottom out on the Headspace gauge, it's going to bottom out on the bolt. And you're going to have Headspace of 1.635, which is basically right on the long end. It's 1 thousandths over no-go. Okay, well, depending on who you ask. My PTG gauge 1.636 is labeled as no-go, and some gauges are labeled as 1.634. Okay, let's check the criterion. So we've got our criterion barrel. This is the 1.630. We're going to check that depth, and we'll see what that looks like. Interesting. So the criterion barrel is, this criterion barrel is set so that if I use with a go gauge with a minimum, this is at 0.131 inches protrusion, and if I use this PTG bolt face, I have a 130 protrusion. Okay, which means I can actually use this PTG bolt face on this criterion barrel, and it will actually bottom out on the Headspace gauge first. Okay. However, what I recommend is there be about a 5 thousandths gap. So you want to make sure that this value here, that it sticks out. You want about a 5 thousandths gap for debris and stuff like that, but you don't want it. I prefer a window of about 5 to 10 thousandths. When I look at this one here, what did we say, 130? And this one here was 0.111. So basically I'm going to have about a 20 thousandths. I'm going to have about a 20 thousandths gap if I use this bolt head with that breech face. actually, one of the options you have, if the gap between the breech face and the bolt face is too great, one of the options that you do have is to actually cut your chamber deeper. So if you have a chamber reamer, right, what you can do is you can go ahead and cut, like I said, if it was 20 thousandths and I wanted to take 15 thousandths off, I would cut 15 thousandths into the chamber, and then I'd be able to screw this barrel in until I had about a 5 thousandths. So for me, I think the ideal window for a distance between the breech face and the bolt face is about between 5 and 10 thousandths. Okay, this way you have a lot of support on the bolt face, and you also you're supporting the case head, but you don't have all this excessive gap, and you don't have like this unsupported chamberish situation going on. Cut your chamber deeper to close the gap. Okay, so like I said, with a with this particular, with the no-go gauge, or with the go gauge, with a chamber, with a minimum chamber, I can use this Criterion barrel with this PTG bolt face and still have a 1/1000th gap. That's a little too tight for me. I could open it up a little bit and leave a 2 to 3 thousandths or maybe a 4 thousandths gap, and that would still put me in the target headspace of a new rifle. Okay, believe it or not, 308 Winchester / 7.62 NATO. The field reject on that is well into it's actually pretty long. It's like 1.640 or something like that. 7.62 NATO is absurdly long. It's like 1.646. So you still have a lot of wiggle room with 7.62 NATO / 308. Other calibers, you have to look into that. So anyway, that's really the additional information that I had about chambering Savages, and being aware of that breech face to bolt face gap. Alright, you probably thought I'd never get to this part. Anyway, what I personally like to do is I like to chamber my rifles to about 2 thousandths over minimum headspace. So this is a 1.632 inch 1.632 inch headspace gauge from PTG. So you're going to stick that 1.632 inch headspace gauge in there. I do have my barrel clamped in a barrel vise, but again, with the PTG action wrench and with this barrel nut wrench, you kind of really don't need it. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to screw this in. Oops, almost forgot the recoil lug. Don't forget that. And it would be a good time to clean out the receiver threads too. Alright, I went ahead and cleaned off the barrel threads. I didn't really get too clean about it. Anyway, we'll go ahead and start your receiver on. You got your recoil lug on. Okay, so we just picked up the looks like we still have some screwing in to go. Okay, so my recoil lug's loose. I basically just bottomed out on the headspace gauge. So again, that's 1.632. Go ahead and that's probably a 1.632 right there. There, it's just kind of just touching right there. So I will snug up my snug that up. Now from here I'm going to go ahead and take out my bolt. That's about good right there. It's about snug right there. It just right there is about right where I can just feel the resistance stop. I'm going to give the barrel nut a little snug here, a little tap here. Go ahead and unlock your bolt. Make sure you put your hand under here to catch the headspace gauge when it falls. Okay. Take the bolt out. Put our action wrench in. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and just snug down on the barrel nut and hold my receiver in place. And my barrel went ahead and it slipped in the vise, but that's okay. I mean, I've got the two wrenches that are kind of opposing. I don't really only have the barrel in the barrel vise to just kind of keep everything kind of steady. At this point, it might actually be better to have your wrenches closer together. This way your arms aren't too far apart, and this way you can there we go. I want to say the torque on this should be about 30 or 35 foot-pounds. So go ahead and take this out now. Put our bolt back in. We'll see what happened with our Headspace. Okay. So let's try. This is the minimum 1.630. Closes just fine. This would be a 1.632. This is the one that we set it to. Closed on that. $631. This is probably our 633. This is a 635. It shouldn't close on this one. Doesn't close on a 635 at all. Alright, so I went ahead and got my 1.633 gauge just to see where it lands, see if it closes. It just closes on a 633 kind of snug. Okay, so it moved just a little bit, not too bad. Definitely won't close on a 634. Yeah, won't close on a 634. So I was targeting 1.632. I got a 1.633, which isn't bad. I wouldn't be too disheartened about that. Again, I wanted this to be a hunting barrel, a hunting rifle type of thing. And anyway, that was just to show you how to do that. Alright, so we went ahead and, again, I didn't change the bolt face out, so this one here has probably got about like a 25 thousandths or more like a 22 or 23 thousandths gap. I literally only did that just to show you how to install a barrel using this PTG action wrench, and how to use the barrel nut wrench, basically just to show you the process. You know, most people won't even know about this until I just showed them. I'll do a separate video on how to change this bolt face, and what I'm probably going to do is I'm actually going to just surface this and take a little bit off until I have the proper gap that I really want to. So I have between a 5 and 10 thousandths gap between the bolt face and the breech face, and I'll do a separate video on that later. So again, today this is a barrel installation video. I just wanted to show you the basics. So we did get our barrel installed and Headspace 1.633 inches right between go and no go. Go ahead and get this put back in the stock. Alright, so went ahead and put the action back in the stock, put a scope on it. So we took a Savage 12 FV, which was really front heavy, and went ahead and put that Criterion featherweight barrel on there. And so what we have now is a pretty good all-weather hunting rifle. You know, it's ready to go out and get a deer or something like that. So anyway, that was my first Savage video. I hope you found it useful. Again, I'll do another video on how to replace this bolt head later, and we will replace that bolt head and get this Headspace properly. It is Headspace properly, by the way. The only thing is, I don't like the gap between the bolt face and the breech face, and we'll go ahead and fix that on the next video. And just another note, again, these PTG bolt heads, I have a feeling they make that bolt face kind of deep for the exact purpose of what we talked about here. You can always take metal away, but you can never put it back. So in this case, like I said, I didn't like the distance with the factory bolt head, where I would need an aftermarket bolt head with a deeper bolt face. And instead of cutting my chamber deep, all I have to do is replace this bolt head and maybe sand off. I can just get get this piece of steel right here, put some sandpaper on it, and sand off maybe a few thousandths, or put it on the mill and surface off just a couple of thousandths off the top, and I would have the proper gap on my bolt face. Okay, so again, hey, thanks for watching. Look out for other Savage videos in the future.